everybody. Welcome into Talking Fitchburg on this Monday, February 15th, 2021. Boy, was it a cold day and a cold weekend, too. But help is on the way. It looks like warm temperatures are on their way. And we might see a high of 15 tomorrow. I mean, just saying, it's kind of better than -3 or whatever we've been at the last week, 2 weeks now. Or I don't even know. Is it more than that? It feels like forever. My brain is frozen. Just saying. Hey, we got a busy show for you coming up today. A lot to get to. We're going to follow up on the structure fire that took place Saturday night in the city of Fitchburg. We'll get you an update from Chief. Talk about making sure you're clearing that fire hydrants of snow and ice. Plus, talk about cold weather and having a plan too when it comes to if you were to actually have a fire at your house. So we'll be talking with Joe here on a special on our digest today, and then checking in with Better Business Bureau, talking about free Netflix for a year. You might want to think twice before you accept that one. We'll break that down for you coming up. But first, let's turn to the headlines, and we start with this. We have our public information meeting for road improvements on Lacey Road from Fitchburg Road to Seminole Highway. Want to make sure you're ready for this. You got to get yourself signed up. This meeting will be taking place on the 17th, February 17th at 5:30 p.m. It'll discuss improvements from Lacey Road from Fitchburg Road to Seminole Highway. Online attendance is encouraged, or council chambers will be available for in-person participation. That is located at 5520 Lacey Road if you want to stop on out there. If you are interested in taking part in speaking at this meeting, you got to get yourself registered. And you can do that at our website, fitchburgwi.gov. If you just want to watch the meeting, well, you just watch it just like you normally do right here on Fact TV on the Gov channel F3. All right, City of Fitchburg Healthy Neighborhoods Grant Program continues on. Your time's running out. If you would like to get signed up for this, City is pleased to announce that as January 19th, the application process began here in 2021 for the 2021 Healthy Neighborhoods Grant Program, and that's open through February 22nd. All interested nonprofit organizations that meet the program's eligibility requirements are encouraged to apply. You can go to the link fitchburgwi.gov to get yourself signed up, and applicants are encouraged to review the requirements as they've changed yet again this year as part of the program changes from last year for the from the 2020 program. So make sure you get yourself signed up for that. All right, as mentioned, City of Fitchburg Fire Department, Fitchburg Fire Rescue, responded to a structure fire on Saturday night. We were out there and caught up with the chief after the fire was put out.
Today we received a call for a fire just after 5:30 this afternoon. Neighbors reported that they had heard popping or explosions, and then saw a fire on the rear of the building. We were able to account for the sole resident of this residence, and that resident required transport to the hospital. Fitchburg transported one. There have been no reported firefighter injuries at this incident, but it did require a significant response, primarily based on the fact that it's very, very cold out here today. The fire spread pretty rapidly, and we did have some issues acquiring a water source. We did not have hydrants that were readily available in this neighborhood, and had to actually shovel some of those hydrants out, which increased the time and the availability of a water source. So the good news is we were able to stop this fire before it carried on or extended to any exposures. But we did have one injury reported, and right now we're waiting to see how this fire started. We do have investigators on site. They are going to be looking into the area of origin, and we obviously have some questions that need to be answered. The Fitchburg Police Department is working on getting a patrol officer out to the hospital to interview the resident to see if we can get any more information that way. The fire, as it was reported, we had heavy fire that was visible from the rear of the structure. Garage was involved, kitchen was involved. We had some extension into the basement. All of that right now has been controlled, and we're just making sure that we do have extinguishment. One of the main concerns in weather like this is obviously the rotation of our personnel, and to make sure that our attack lines don't freeze up. the moment that water becomes static in this situation, it starts to freeze, and in very little time we could have a hose line that is completely solid. So we got to keep water flowing. So at this moment, it's really a matter of investigating the cause and origin, talking with the resident, and making sure that they're taken care of for the night and they have any type of claim established with any appropriate insurance companies. Let me just say, we received a lot of help today, and I don't have all of the units identified. I'm sure that we can get you that information. For sure, I can tell you that we had Verona, Madison, we had the Fitchburg Police Department, Fitch-Rona. The Metro bus was here. Salvation Army has responded to provide assistance. The issue that we have here is trying to stay warm. Really, in a matter of less than 10 minutes with direct skin exposure, we're talking about frostbite. And that could be anywhere. That could be the ears, that could be the fingers, it could be the face. So everything we're doing right now is to try to keep firefighters warm and free from any risk of being frostbitten. We were able to access one fire hydrant fairly quickly, but this fire was significant enough. It was big enough to the point where we required multiple water sources, and those additional water sources were hard to access because of the fact that they were covered with snow. Once found, they were able to be dug out, but that took some time, and it created somewhat of a pause in our ability to fight fire immediately, or at least control it faster. So yeah, it's going to remain to be an issue as long as we have snow mounds and we continue to see the snow. Is we got to stay on top of the fire hydrants, and by we I mean as a community. There's only so much our water utility can do, only so much our DPW can do. Fire department is obviously working on a number of different priorities. We require the assistance of our residents to take a look at the hydrants that are in front of their house or serving their neighborhood. So hopefully we can get to those fire hydrants much quicker. In these cold weather operations, one thing that I would ask that our residents do is to think about their fire plan. Not only how to get out of the house, but who you're going to call and maybe who you're going to stay with, or how you can maybe knock on a neighbor's door. Because even exiting a fire in these extreme temperatures could be problematic as you wait for the fire department to arrive. So talk to your neighbors, maybe have a plan in place where you can help each other out. Make sure you have a place to go and stay warm until the fire department arrives.
All right, as I mentioned, we'll be talking more about what happened on Saturday night, plus talking more about the fire hydrants, making sure you get those cleared, and some winter safety tips as well coming up. Or coming up next, I should say, really, as we do take a break here, and we'll have Joe on, and a little bit later check in with Tiffany from Better Business Bureau as well on that pesky Netflix for a year. Yeah, if you don't see red flags all over that one, I don't know what to tell you. We'll break that down coming up. But first, before we do go to break, here's a look at the meetings. We got a lot of them coming up this week.
Yeah, I know, but I don't know. Yeah, you just look at that. It's so sad. That's good. Touchdown! Oh, did you see that? Whoa, we scored? Yeah, we scored. We're going to the playoffs. I can't believe I missed that. Every time I'm buzzed, I spend too much time on my phone. What? I should take your phone away. No. I'll call for a ride. Hey, why does my face look like that?
I'm playing with these new face filters.
Okay, you know what? Yep, that's mine.
I'm gonna need that back.
No.
Kevin!
Welcome back into Talking Fitchburg. Join me, Dave, from the Fitchburg Fire Department is the Chief Emergency Management Director and so many other hats. Joe Polvemacher, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Jeremy.
Thank you for taking the time, a last minute time to get you on here, but an important one at that. But we're going to talk a little bit about this weekend's fire. Took place Saturday night just after 5:30. Just wanted to get any follow up that you had on that specific fire, and then we're going to definitely talk about fire hydrants as well. Also, a little bit of an issue getting a water supply for the needed fire, and then spend a little bit of time talking about that plan, especially if you were involved in a fire. What does that plan even look like? Because I think that's something we talked about on Saturday night. So Joe, first and foremost, as we look back at the very cold Saturday night, what do you have in for updates there?
I think one of the things that really needs to be shared is the hazards associated with a cold weather response from a number of different perspectives, not only the emergency responder perspective, but from the community perspective. You see a lot of equipment arriving on scene. You're wondering why all of that equipment is needed, especially for a single family residential fire. But upon arrival, fire and smoke was significant. Fire growth had exceeded the garage. There was fire and smoke visible from the rear of the building, and obviously in extreme cold temperatures, we have to be concerned with what happens to water and what happens to people. From a firefighter perspective, we want to be able to rotate our crews in and out of that fire environment as much as possible. Exposed skin, wet skin, it could potentially lead to frostbite and other cold-related injuries. So we asked for additional help. We received additional help, not only in the form of additional fire departments, but also with Metro Bus and the Salvation Army. The main concern that I have from a fire chief's perspective is the health and well-being of our firefighters and those we are out there to serve. So there's a couple of different things that we can address from the response standpoint and from a preparedness standpoint that gives others a better idea of what we're looking for and what we're trying to establish in advance of the emergency. That too, I think we obviously have reinforced the value of having fire hydrants accessible. Now we have a water utility in the city of Fitchburg that is very, very good. We have a reliable water source, and that's what the water utility is there for, to make sure that our water source is reliable and predictable. But from an accessibility standpoint, that's everybody's job. Even though the fire hydrant might not be in your front yard, that fire hydrant belongs to everybody because we use it for every single residence or building, commercial building on that block in that neighborhood. So take a look up and down your road, your street, your neighborhood. If you can't see the fire hydrant, we can't see the fire hydrant. Do what you can to help out yourself and help out your neighbors. We're fully aware of the fact that some of our residents just are not in the best spot to be able to clear snow away from the hydrant that's in front of their property. And we don't want to put somebody at additional risk to clear that hydrant. I'll also say that our water utility, once again, is out there trying to clear as many hydrants as possible, but they have a limited number of people that can handle only so many fire hydrants. It's nearly impossible for them to handle everything all at once. So from an accessibility standpoint, I'm asking everybody to take a look up and down their street. And if there is a fire hydrant that is under snow, we should be digging those out in advance of the emergency.
Joe, on a typical response, setting aside the fact that it was super cold on Saturday, how long does it take the fire department to normally access the hydrant, hook up what they need and move on? What is that process supposed to be in an event like Saturday night? Again, taking the cold factor away from it, what actually happened?
So rule of thumb, about a minute is what we should be using to hook up to that hydrant. There's obviously a number of different variables that fall into place in that situation. It could be the length of the hose lay that happens after connecting to the hydrant or stopping at the hydrant. There's also a number of different things that might affect the overall speed of connection, and that could be sometimes just how tight the hydrant might be, those types of things. But typically, if we're looking at rule of thumb, about a minute, and then once you put a snow mound over the top of the hydrant, that obviously increases our connection time and reduces our accessibility. It's not just the snow too. We've had some freezing rain. We know that snow mounds don't always present as these big white fluffy structures. Sometimes they are solid, like a block of ice, and that would increase the ability increase the connection time and our ability to access. So, yeah, I mean, all of those things play into what affects our water source and our ability to connect. We have about 3, 5, 700 gallons of water, depending on vehicle and municipality, and that doesn't last us very long. And then if we can't have a predictable and secure water source, we can't commit people to the inside of the building. So we'll have people waiting for that water source to be established, and we want to make sure that we don't have any interruptions in water supply.
And Joe, how many, each truck is going to vary for how much water is actually on it, but on our two engines that we have normally out there, how long would it take to exhaust that water in a typical event? Again, loaded question, know that, but if you were doing what you did Saturday night, how long would it take to deplete that?
Depends on how many lines we have flowing, but you look at a typical hand line having about 100 or more, sometimes 200 gallons per minute coming out of the nozzle if it's flowing full bore. We could have larger hose streams. So if we get 2 minutes of a water flow out of our onboard water tanks, that would be typical of our response.
I think that's important to know because you see that fire trucks have water on board and stuff, and you're like, well, they could put out the fire, but depending what you're doing with that said water and the way you're working the structure fire, as it were, definitely changes that mode. Looking now, Joe, a little bit past for anybody that's been involved in the structure fire, their property has had a fire. What are some of the planning tips? You kind of talked a little bit about that on Saturday night, but we talk about having a fire plan to get out, but maybe that next step looking ahead, what do you recommend?
Sure. I think you have to take a look at what environment you are putting yourself into. You're obviously leaving a high threat environment, that being fire and smoke. But if you are then going out into the extreme cold, you're introducing yourself to another high threat environment. So it's in your best interest to consider what your escape plan looks like. Talk to your neighbors in advance so that you can knock on each other's doors in the event that you have to get out of your home. And then you're not necessarily outside waiting for the fire department when maybe you don't have a coat or even shoes, depending on how quickly you needed to get out of your home. So all things to take into consideration when planning your escape, because it ultimately will affect your well-being and your ability to keep yourself safer once you've left your home.
Joe, I appreciate the time. I wish we could spend more time together, but we'll do that offline and get you back on the show real soon. Great job for everybody out there from all organizations helping on Saturday night. From my perspective, in a very cold situation, the plan worked as all plans can, and I think that's the hard work and commitment of every man and women on the public safety front. So thank you.
You're welcome. And if there's another thing that I can add here, and it'll be a topic for another day, for those neighborhoods that we have that don't have hydrants, we typically respond with water tenders, which have a lot of water on them. But when we were responding to a neighborhood that has known hydrants, the tenders don't automatically come with us. So once again, topic for another day, but there is a reason why we are pushing the importance of hydrant accessibility in neighborhoods where we know that they exist.
Absolutely. And, what we do with Fact TV and you is education, which is the driving factor of everything to help all of us get better every day. Joe, thank you so much. We'll talk to you soon.
You bet. Take care, Jeremy.
You bet. Joe Pulpenmacher, Fitchburg Fire Department, your fire chief, and so much more. We'll take a quick break. You're watching Talking Fitchburg.
After you joined our family, it was like, I really do feel complete now.
Our hearts are made stronger by how we treat others.
Put her there.
The light you share can impact those around you, but so can the darkness.
Later, twerps.
Did Pete saying mean things bother you?
So when you reach out to another person, take a moment to consider how they will feel and let your heart be the key to making a difference. Because of you, someone's entire day, year, or even life can change.
In every heart, there's hope.
We're all just trying to keep things running for those who rely on us.
Ready!
That's why we don't have time to be sick with the flu. And especially this year, no one has time to get sick. Get a flu shot for yourself and those around you too.
Welcome back into Talking Fitchburg. Joining me today from the Better Business Bureau right here in Southern Wisconsin, we have Tiffany Schultz. Tiffany, welcome back to the show. How are you doing today?
I'm great. Thanks for having me today.
Thank you for coming back. And today's title, Free Netflix for a Year. This is how I see that. A year. Sounds really great. But I'm just going to take a stab here that there's no free Netflix for a year, is there?
There's no free Netflix. Scammers are capitalizing on the pandemic and people staying home, and you're getting a text message saying that, hey, we want to offer you free Netflix for a year. All you have to do is click on this link. Well, what you're doing when you click on that link is you're entering your personal information, and you may even be asked for a payment. Now, you're giving your information to a scammer because this is not affiliated with Netflix at all, and you may be paying for services that you never receive.
Yeah, it's not, it's just not, I don't know. This one to me is just like, they're reaching out to you. It should be your first red flag anyways, but coming in via text message, definitely a problem. How do you avoid text message scams? Because those seem to be getting, if they give up on the phone call, then that's where they turn to next.
You don't want to believe every text message that you receive. Scammers are now using texting to lure their victims, which is also called smishing, a form of phishing. So if you have not signed up to receive text messages from the company, it may be a red flag that it's a scam. So that's your first red flag. If you haven't signed up for it, don't go ahead and respond to it.
Yeah, definitely not a good idea. And I like this one. And when I got myself almost into a bad scam on a website, what caught it was exactly this, going straight to the source. So important. And I don't need to tell you that twice.
If an offer sounds too good to be true, it probably is too good to be true. But one of the things that you can do to verify the offer is to go straight to the company that's offering it. If you don't see it on their website, give them a call. If somebody at the company doesn't know anything about it, it probably is a red flag that it's another scam that's that you've been targeted with. So be very, very careful with what offers you are accepting. You want to make sure that they are legitimate.
Yeah, and taking a closer look at the web address too is something you've shared with us in the past, but these links literally sometimes don't even make sense, don't even match the company, and sometimes they look legit, but really it's a hidden page or something over top of something else, and it just leads you into that fake source.
Always verify the link. The link coming from the company should be a company link. So if it's coming from Netflix, it should be netflix.com. A scammer might change that up and it might look like it's coming from netfl1x.com. So that's one way to tell that it could be a scam. Just make sure that you verify those links. You can also hover over the links as well. And sometimes that'll point you to a different web address than what's typed in an email. So pay very close attention to those links.
Absolutely. And this next one too, it just goes along with not answering spam phone calls, but also text messages. Don't engage, because the minute engage, you're opening up that there is somebody on the other side of their phishing scam or smishing scam.
If you engage with them, they know that they've reached a working phone number. You don't want to type stop, because if you type stop, just as if you would press 1, once again, you are graduating yourself to receive more text messages from the scammer. So be very, very careful. Just go ahead and ignore the text message and delete it. The last thing that Netflix is recommending that you do here is to change your Netflix password. It's always better to be safe than to be sorry.
Absolutely. And if people want to report these things when they come in, or if they've definitely given out that information, they're like, uh-oh, this may not have been legit. What does BBB recommend?
Please report those scams to us, whether or not you've lost money or personal information, to bbb.org/scam tracker, bbb.org/scam tracker. That allows us to know what's going on in the community, and we're able to take those scams and warn others so that they're not a victim.
Awesome. I think all you understand the information you're saying here today. It's not rocket science, but definitely another scam to watch out for. And I suppose that they probably could take out Netflix and put out any specific company's name and repeat the scam over and over again. So I'm sure you're saying heads up, not just with Netflix, but any company out there.
Right. Scammers are taking advantage of the pandemic any way that they can. So Netflix is very popular, but people have Hulu, they have Roku, they have Disney Plus. Scammers can take advantage of it anyway. So just because you receive something from another platform doesn't mean that it's not a scam. Do your homework and check it out.
Tiffany, thank you so much for always the great helpful tips and bringing awareness to this. And we'll check back in with you later this month.
Thanks for having me.
You bet. Tiffany from Better Business Bureau. Check out the website, bbb.org. Take a quick break. More to come. You're watching Talking Fitchburg.
Find good stuff at Goodwill and bring good home.
See on page 4 that the projections need to be blood. Next Thursday?
Seriously? Thursday? Can't do that.
This is really inconvenient.
I have yoga that day. I have no time for this. So I can't do Thursday, but I can do Friday.
Disasters don't plan ahead. You can. Talk to your loved ones about how you're going to be ready in an emergency. Don't wait. Communicate.
Welcome back into Talking Fitchburg, wrapping up the show for the day. I want to thank Fire Chief Joe Polvamacher for stopping in and getting us update from the weekend's fire. We'll post up that interview, and if you want to go back and check out what had happened from Saturday night, we do have that posted up on our social media at our Facebook page. And I also want to thank Tiffany from the Better Business Bureau for helping us out as well. We appreciate her time. And Netflix, these scams just get, they sound so wrong, but they can be very enticing. So make sure you double check as mentioned, and we'll have Tiffany back as well a little bit later in the month. As we wrap up here, remember you can stay connected with Fact TV. We got you on Facebook, YouTube, and so much more. Have a great day.